Okay, so we will start with atoms versus molecules. So let's start with atoms versus molecules. Alright, you know that matter is composed of tiny particles. Composed of tiny particles called atoms. Atoms, right? So what is atoms? So I'm going to define atom. Smallest part of an element is atom, and that is still that element. That's atom. The properties of that smallest part of the element, it still is that element. That's called atom. Now what's the molecule? Molecule, when two or more atoms join together and act as a unit. That's called molecule. So I'm going to give you some example here. Let's say element, atom, let's say we can say iron, oxygen, hydrogen. These are atoms. But let's say for molecule, when hydrogen and oxygen, when they join together, and it makes H2O. So we can say molecule, H2O, molecule. So, now we need to try to understand what is chemistry, what's the challenge part of the chemistry. So, we can a major or main challenge of chemistry is to understand the connection between macroscopic world that we experience. Macroscopic world means at large scale. Experience and microscopic world of atoms and molecules. Microscopic world of atoms and molecules. And we try to think on atomic level. When we try to understand, we try to think at atomic level. So that's the main difference between atoms and molecules. Alright. Now, we will define chemical reaction. Okay? So, now let's define, we define atoms and molecules, right? Atom is the smallest part of the element. Let's say we have chalk, or writing, yeah, it's a chalk, and we grind it, and take out the small part, right? That small part is called that atom for that particular element, right? Or for, let's say, for water, when we take the small part, it's called molecule of those H2O, right? So that's how we define atoms and molecules. Now we'll define chemical reaction. How do we define chemical reaction? So let's say, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say 2 molecules of H2O, all right? And we pass electric current. We pass electric current through it, and we separate out oxygen molecules and hydrogen molecules. We separate it out into oxygen molecules and 2 hydrogen molecules. Alright? So, what happened that in chemical reaction, one substance changes to another one, another substance. What they do? By reorganizing. The way the atoms are attached to each other. Attached to each other. That's where we can call chemical reaction happens. Alright, so that's the fundamental part. Atoms, compounds, chemical reactions. Alright, now we'll define